Coding made easy.
So what's up everybody, and welcome to your next C++ Made Easy HD tutorial. And in this tutorial we're going to be learning about iterators, which is a really important topic when we're working with container classes, right? And before I even get into showing you what an iterator does, I'm just going to be going over something with you to really show you how the importance of what an iterator is. So what we have is we include the vector class, and we're going to make a vector of strings, and let's just call it names. And I'm going to say names dot push back. I'll put my name, which is Peter. I'll put Coding Made Easy. Okay, now what we would generally do is we would just have we'd have a for loop, and we loop to the size, and then if we want to display it, we would just put the names I and whatever end L. And if we were to run this, we get Peter and Coding Made Easy. Okay, so we should already know that, right? So now let us change this to a map. Okay, so let's not include a vector this time, let's include a map, and it'll be a string and an integer value. So let's put in Peter is equal to 19, which is my age, and we'll say Coding Made Easy is equal to, let's just say 3, because I've almost had Coding Made Easy for almost 2 years. Okay, but yeah, forget about these numerical values, they're just placeholders. So anyways, now if we were to do this, right, the key, or whatever you like to call it, the index or whatever, is of a string type. Now in our for loop loops through integer types, right? And because of this, we cannot get the value of this map. So if we were to try to run this, we would get an error. It would not work, right? So what if we actually want to display what was inside the map, right? We can't do it with this integer inside the for loop, and this is where iterators come in. So what an iterator does is that, in a simple terms, is that it uses a pointer. It's a pointer that points to different elements within our container, and then from that we can extract the value by dereferencing it or whatever, and we can display it to the screen. So the syntax for an iterator is really simple, because it uses basically the same format that we use for containers. So you know how we defined names as of a type map, that the key is a string and the value is an integer? Well, that's the same way as we start off our iterator. So our iterator is of type map, the key is a string, and the value is an int. Now, what sets an iterator apart from the naming scheme, the naming scheme is different because we have to add this keyword in now. We have to add in the scope operator, then type in the word iterator. Okay, now if this doesn't work on yours, you may need to include the iterator class. Okay, if it doesn't work with your compiler, just include iterator right there. So we add an iterator, and then we can name it whatever we want, right? So it's just like creating an instance of the map class, but instead it is an iterator. Now think of this as any variable type, right? So this could be like int iterator or whatever, right? But instead of it being integer type, the type is this, the map, and the key is a string, and the value is an int. So this is the type of variable it is. So any single map element that matches these values, our iterator can cycle through it. So what we're going to do now, in our for loop, we're going to say that iterator is equal to names.begin. And then we're going to loop while integer iterator is not equal to names.end. And we're going to increase the iterator by 1 each time. So what this is going to do is that it's going to point to the first element. See, iterators equal to names.begin. So that means we're pointing to the first element within our map. And then we're gonna loop till the last element, and then we're gonna, when we say iterator plus plus, we're just gonna be cycling through each element within our map. So if we want to display it, since it is pointing to an element, we can just use the arrow, right? Or sorry, we have to use iterator. So iterator, the arrow, and we can say first, right? And if we run this program, then we would get the key values. So we get the names Coding Made Easy, and we get the names Peter. And we can put second in there. And we get the values 3 and 19. So I rearranged it into numerical, into alphabetical and numerical order. But I'll be teaching you about sorting and stuff, so you can sort it in any order you actually want. But that's a simple way about going about this, right? Now, if we were to use, say, a vector, right, just like we did before, right? So if we include vector, it would be, in fact, easier to use the C-style way by saying int I equals 0, so on and so forth, right? To access it based on random access, right? It would be easier because you'd actually get to see which element you're putting in, all that good stuff. But a really good reason why you would want to use an iterator on, say, a vector or any type of container is that it is easy to transfer between the two. Let's say, for example, that this is a vector, right? But we figured out that in our design pattern, it would better suit us if it was a map. So all we would have to do in order to make it work is that we would have to just change this to a map, change this iterator to a map, and our for loop works correctly instead of us having to change our whole for loop and all that stuff. If you don't really care about that, then it's up to you. But let's say we have a vector that we run a lot of for loops, we run a lot of loops with that vector, right? And we say we run 10 different things with that vector. If we were to change that vector into of a type map, then we'd have to change all the for loops rather than having to change two different values, right? So it would make more sense to use an iterator in that situation. It really depends what situation you are in. But using iterators, we can cycle through the different elements and so on and so forth. And just to show you quickly, just the minor change we would have to do. So if we change this to a vector, so vector std string. So all we have to do, we'd have to just change this to a vector of type string, and that's it. And since this is not a map, right, we just want to display each element, right? And I told you that it is a pointer, so all we have to do is just dereference it like that. So in just changing 3 different things, we've changed everything. We didn't have to change this for loop. We didn't have to change anything within it because the iterator will modify itself depending on the type it is. And if we run this, oh, sorry, these values are changed. But if we were to set it back to the values they were before, and like that. So if we were to run this, it runs just as expected. So that is it for this tutorial. I hope you gained something. I hope you learned something from this. I hope it was very valuable. I hope it was really easy. If you guys didn't find it that easy, or you guys want me to make a next tutorial on it, let me know in the comments section below. And yeah, so that's it for this tutorial. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Coding Made Easy. Don't forget to join my circle on Google+, and don't forget to sign up on the website and post on the forum if you ever need help. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and bye.